Hello everyone, I am your host Nick, the Duke of Hobbies, and joined by Jake Pinox Abrams for Triple P's Around the Board, the player debate show where the tough questions are asked and the responses are judged. For 2 10-minute rounds, players respond to specific questions. They will get points awarded or removed by your host. Players can also be muted to give other players a chance to respond. There will be one bonus round question between rounds for additional points. Winning player will get 1 minute free rant period to talk about whatever they want. With the rules established, let's meet today's players and go around the board. And today, we have a couple returning guests, actually, and we're going to start off with Dan. Count the money on Onderko. And we got Colton from Pittsburgh, our 2-time champ, starting up, trying to make it a 3-time repeat here. Because we just started our new league. And we got Cho, Bernard. And we got and we got Kevin, Mellow Magikarp himself.
What up?
All right, I butchered enough names as it is, and we're going to get right into round 1 here. I'm taking this question. Question number 1 for the group here is, what is the best metal deck in Standard? And to start that off, we'll jump to you, Colton.
Best metal deck in Standard. If I wanted to say the best deck I wanted to be in Standard, it would be Corviknight. I love that card. But if we're talking straight metal deck, I'm going to have to say Turbozation is probably the best metal deck in Standard right now. It can definitely hold its own against a lot of the decks in the format. It's single-handedly phasing out tag teams with all the resources that it has. And I know Metal has its own struggles against Fire because Fire is pretty brutal right now in Standard, but I think that can, at least move fast enough to have a chance in fighting the Fire decks in the Standard format. So I'm going to have to go with Turbozation.
Okay. All right, Kevin, how about you? What's your thoughts? I thought I saw a couple head nods there, or shakes.
Well, thoughts about Turbozation is just no. Like, it can hold with everything in the format, but it doesn't actually beat anything in the format consistently. So I definitely don't think I would put that up there. I think, okay, I know you said what is the best one. I think the correct answer is actually none currently. Victini with Fan of Waves is just too good. And I think you just put the metal away for, at least the current meta. Currently, I wouldn't touch metal unless you count ADP as metal, I guess.
No, I'd consider ADP, but yeah, no, okay. All right. No, good points. So with you not seeing anything, then do you just, again, you mentioned Victini V. Does anyone else kind of agree with that, disagree with that?
I'd say you can still play metal for sure. I think tanking metal is a trap. I think Luke metal and Corviknight are both really underperforming. They're just not usable right now. Fire's come out the gate strong. Victini is super easy to build, low maintenance, and it's just going to get the job done a lot. It also has a ton of boss's orders, so it's hard to justify trying to sit behind dolls. There's also escape rope, so that avenue is sort of taken away from Luke metal. That was really how it tried to buy time, just marnieing and dolling and stuff like that. But more aggressive builds, I've been trying out a Rapid Strike Zation combination, which is actually kind of cool. There's really good numbers, 230 into then having the either Karate Belt combo or Exp Share allows you to just attach a single Rapid Strike energy onto the Urshifu to do some good snipe pressure, of course. I know there's a ton of new in the format, but one thing I really like about that build is that you can also shoehorn in Empoleon, which helps you cover that weakness quite a lot. And when you're playing the Rusted Sword, and when you play Zigzagoon allows Empoleon to one-shot Reshizard, which is really insane. Zigzagoon helps with a ton of numbers just in general into VMAXs. Obviously, with the sword, you can KO ADP as well, so it allows you to have that good pressure. So kind of like a hybrid of a Rustization, but trying to squeeze in a Rapid Strike package. It's a lot to fit into one deck, but it's certainly got a lot of power behind it.
Interesting. Dan, what's your thoughts? What are you thinking about?
These wouldn't be like pure metal decks. There's kind of 2 Bronzong builds that I'm intrigued by. One is, actually, I really like the Togekiss build. I saw Nico Alabast made a really good video on that. It's there's kind of 2 extremes, right? That one is very consistent. I realize Marnie is a card, but with Togekiss, you can change Cheryls and Pal Pads and kind of keep that healing going and kind of run a very, only kind of keep, you can go 2 different ways. You can kind of go Zamazenta and Zacian as your kind of backup guys. I've also seen more of a Bronzong box with things like Rhyperior in it to counter a lot of other things. I think it's very, very interesting, but I would probably also agree with Kevin that it's kind of still to be determined. But I think for right now, assuming Fire stays as strong as it does, that those are kind of the 2 more viable directions I think it could go.
Okay. All right. So Colton, you're the one who can you defend Turbo Zacian for us there or here, or are you getting swayed?
No, I mean, I agree with everybody in the sense that right now metal is not the deck of choice in standard format. I guess the question would be, what is the strongest metal deck in standard format? And if I had to answer that question, I think I would still, put all my eggs in one basket for Turbo Zacian, because I don't think any other purely metal deck is performing as well as that deck. As Joe had said, Corviknight is underperforming, and that's the deck that I kind of gravitated towards as Battle Styles came out. I'm still messing around with it. There's a lot to try with it for me, myself personally, but like it's not having results immediately. And I mean, I guess with other sets, that's kind of, you're doomed for failure if you're not immediately seeing results. If it's going to work, it's going to work. If it's not, there could be exceptions, but if the question stays, we have to pick the best metal deck, then I would say it's Turbo Zacian, but I agree, fire is just a wall. It is a barrier for metal.
So what do you guys think is the best way to handle fire right now? Like I thought with Corviknight with the lustrous body, the fact that it could prevent the Giratina metal coating, you guys brought up, fan of waves. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you guys just feel like is the answer then for that, especially against, you have Samus options too?
I think the problem is metal is just inherently incredibly clunky, because like metal's best thing is not getting knocked out. And if you don't get knocked out, you have to not bench Dedenne and not bench Crobat, because those things just die by looking at them, right? And so it's incredibly difficult to manipulate the prize trade and not be clunky, because these welder decks, ADP, anything like that is just like, I'm going to play all the Dedennes I want because I'm just faster than you. And there's no way for metal to be faster by playing those, so it tries to go slower. So as of right now, I just don't look, I'm not a good deck builder. I can definitely play a deck, but so someone out there might come up with something, but I can't imagine a world where you're able to make a pure metal deck that's able to keep up or tank.
If you go full Zacian, I think Leon could be an answer. Hitting 310 is actually really easy with Rusted Leon and Berserker. You just need one in play. So that's the way that you can try and counter Teeny. I think Teeny might end up playing Heatfire anyway, just because Eternatus can go back to scoop up Net Eterna with Zigzagoon pings to kind of balance that matchup. Eterna's doing its own thing anyway. It's shoehorning in weak guards and stuff right now. But yeah, I think that's probably the only way, because like we said, we can't tank anymore. So you have to try and buy back turns just by hitting harder. Or trying to use Zamazenta. Zamazenta is just a decent one-of anyway in that deck, I feel, just for other matchups. So it definitely can buy you a turn here or there. But I feel that you got to kind of go greedy and put Leons in there and really make the push into Victini.
So I think also too, like Victini, I think Centiskorch is actually more problematic for something like if you're trying to tank, like Togekiss. You can tank hits from Victini, but it's difficult when Centiskorch continues to build and grow too fast. I think so. Then the other option, obviously, like Joe mentioned, with like the Rapid Strike idea, which that's actually when I read Rapid Strike Urshifu, that was the first thing I thought about was Zacian. An Empoleon counter, or if you're doing like more of the counter Aurora Bronzong box, teching in something like a Melodic or some other one-off water attacker that could take care of Victini or Centiskorch.
Good points. Yeah. So I what we're kind of hearing right now, we got like 2 minutes left, 2:45 left in the round, is that you're seeing a stray away from pure metal. Do you guys have you seen any other interactions with the Bronzong for other Pokemon that might take advantage of it to kind of be metal energy focused but not really be metal in the decks right now?
There's some cool Mewtwo stuff you can try and do, definitely. We've seen, obviously, the Rillaboom Rowegg deck's just done well in a recent online tournament, and you basically copy-paste that approach and put in the Bronzong and use Saucer to stuff with just your Zacians that you have for the early game anyway. Obviously, attacking with Zacian is still pretty solid. We've seen that Big Charm is a lot for like ADP right now to standardly overcome. You just stay out of range, which is nice for the Mewtwo. So you can actually get your GX attack off as well and heal a bunch, which is really good against Rapid, obviously. And it's really good against ADP as well for their initial hits. So I think an Aurora-based list is kind of cool for Bronzong around Mewtwo as well.
That's interesting.
I agree 100% with that. When I built it on stream, after a few games, a few people came in and they're like, hey, this looks like OmniPoke's list. So I think we're not that far off of each other. But it's so powerful to be able to be like, all right, I'm going to turn one GX with ADP if I have to, Or like you said, I can hold off for the Miraculous Duo. And also, you know, I can hit 180 with Vileplume on turn 1. And also, there's a Zacian in here too, just in case I have to hit, you know, KO a V on turn 1 or turn 2. So it's just, it feels like a bad ADP deck, but also there could be something there. Like when the game runs hot, you're just like, I can't be stopped. It's unbeatable.
There's more steps, but you can definitely do some cool stuff, and you can toolbox your way around some otherwise awkward matchups for ADP.
When I think about Bronzong, this is going to sound strange, but actually Tapu Koko Prism Star kind of comes to mind in terms of how powerful that is to throw a couple energy that are not colored to your typing to get that acceleration. And then you throw in the fact that you can then run Metal Saucers in that deck. It's like you have this wellspring of just colorless energy you can spread around and do so many things.
Right. Good point. Yeah, because that's one of the things. I personally haven't seen much success or a lot of growth with Bronzong because everyone gravitated to Corviknight. Last 30 seconds, Colton, finish us off here. You know, again, you know, do you see a future for Bronzong though, for at least Metal?
Yeah, I mean, just hearing everybody else in the room, it's incredible what you can do with Bronzong. I didn't enter into Pokemon, you know, too long ago, and one of my favorite decks before was Quagnag, and that was just cool just because you could move the water energy to your active, and like it's like, holy crap, this was not a viable option at first, but now it is. And now that you have Bronzong to move Steel and even your Aurora energy, if you have it on the field anywhere you'd like, there's just so much untapped potential with that card. And like even everybody talking about like toolboxes where you can just like throw in some water tech cards and still make them work with some colorless or steel in this case energies, and then throw out the Aurora energy. You know, the counters can be there, the counters can be made. It's just a matter of if you can get it fast enough to keep up with Fire's pace in the meta. And that I think is probably where the problem lies.
All right, we're gonna hold it there. That is the end of the round. I wanted to let Colton get that last thought in too because I thought he was bringing up some very good points. But it's close. It's close. We actually have a tie for the leaders right now. We're doing a new thing. We're not sharing you guys with the points, but it's a close matchup. So actually, Kevin and Joe, you're tied right now. Dan and Colton, you're right next to it and very close to them. So. You know,
Did Colton get a penalty for calling it a Quagnag instead of Quag?
I'll debate that in our little break here. But you know, I think you know, Jake, like I thought they brought up some really good points here. You know, again, I think Metal is interesting. Everyone easily gravitated to Corviknight, but again, like you guys brought up, it's not the deck we thought. Victini VMAX kind of scares it a lot. So, yeah, everyone, awesome job. But we got a bonus round to do now, so we're gonna switch it on over. I got a fun question here today. I normally come up with some crazy stuff when I'm trying to find some Pokefacts, and this is probably the nuttiest one yet. All right, so 2 Pokemon from the Sun and Moon generation currently are the heaviest of all the Pokemon, and we're gonna exclude VMAXs and Gigamax forms too. So just don't think Gen 8. Name one of the 2. All right, so we're gonna no Googling. We're gonna be right back. We're gonna end this recording and we'll be coming back shortly. All right, we are back with our bonus round. 2 Pokemon from the Sun and Moon generation currently are the heaviest of all the Pokemon. Name one of the 2. All right, so Dan, you had to step away real quick. Consult your kids. Name one of them.
I didn't consult my kids, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Can I go last?
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Last.
Okay.
All right, fine. Well, then we'll jump to Joe then.
I think Cosmoworm is certainly one. Do I only guess one or do I guess 2?
You can name, if you can think 2 guesses, I'll let you guess 2.
I think my other guess would be Stack Attacker.
Okay.
So those are my 2.
Cosmion and Stack Attacker. Let's jump to Colton.
I think I might be a generation too early, but I was going to say Melmetal, but I don't know if that's Sun and Moon.
I don't know. Actually, I think...
still my guess regardless, but...
Okay. Kevin, how about you?
For hearing Joe's, I'm kind of upset, but what I was originally going to say before I heard that was Celesteela and Stack Attacker.
Okay.
I was going to go Cosmog and Cosmoan. Cosmog is one of my kids' favorite Pokemon, and I think on the card he weighs like a billion pounds or something. Really.
I think it starts as a gas and then it becomes like it goes really compact. The Cosmoworm gets heavy.
One of the 2 of them super heavy.
Okay, you guys want to know the answer to this? because someone's gotten it right.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Here it
All
is.
right, and the answer goes to is Celestella and Cosmomem, however you say it. Yeah, and both of them. I'm pulling up their image for the viewers. The both of them weigh exactly the same, and I want either of you to get for another bonus point, real quick. How much do you think they weigh? So start with Dan.
I have no idea, but I'm going to drop this fact. One of my kids who's 7 years old showed me a Wailord card, and Wailord supposedly weighs 430 pounds.
Yeah,
Just
I
to
saw
throw
that.
out there.
Okay, so I'll give you a range. It's no more than they don't exceed 4,000 pounds. So all of them are 4,000 or less.
Whaler's a small one then.
Dan, do you have a guess on the weight though, or
I'm going to go Price is Right, 1 pound.
1 pound?
You're the first
I was
person to
gonna
guess.
say,
You don't do that. The first
All right,
person.
how about Joe? Because you two are the first.
I don't know. It's a weird, like, I think it's like
Closest one. to it.
999 or something like that. It's like 0.9. I feel like it's, yeah, I'd go 999.9.
All right, Colton.
What was your hint? It was doesn't
It
exceed.
doesn't exceed 4,000.
All right. I'll go with 3250.
Okay, and Kevin.
I'm super upset because Joe took my answer. I have to agree. I'm like pretty darn sure nothing goes above 1,000, so I'm pretty sure it's 999.9.
All right, I think the math works out. Colton is the closest. It's actually like they're around 2,200 pounds, so it's basically like a ton. So
Fair
and they're basically, one's a giant steel tower, right, and the other one is a black hole. So a black hole is super heavy. If you want Pokemon physics, don't read them. They break the world. All right, so we're
Alrighty.
jumping back in the topic 2 here.
I got this one then.
Yep.
So
Jake,
yeah, we're gonna jump into topic 2. I'm gonna take this one over. Our question is, what is the card that has come out in the new set in Battle Styles that has made the biggest impact on the meta so far? It could be a Pokemon, trainer, anything for any reason. So let's start with Dan.
All right. I think the answer is Rapid Strike Urshifu. Now, Rapid Strike Urshifu isn't like dominating every online tournament, but it has completely shifted the meta. So we've seen a huge drop in Eternatus, huge drop in Pikarom. We're seeing Mew pop up everywhere. This is allowing for Dragapult to be viable. This is allowing for Mewtwo, all kinds of Mewtwo variants to be viable. And so, I mean, I think if you take that card out of the equation, I don't know the meta looks a ton different than it does right now. But I think that card is really what we can credit and thank for stirring things up.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Joe.
A smarter answer would be Rapid Strike Energy, because then you also get to steal Empoleon, which has higher impact also because you gain good fire type coverage. And I think, as we've seen Victini's come out the blocks quite quickly, I expected Victini to come out the blocks quickly, and it has kind of overtaken Senti in a lot of ways. But I foresee Empoleon to become much, much more important. I think we randomly saw Spiritomb do well, and Empoleon eats that immediately. And you also just get a ton of Jirachi builds, like Blacephalon or Tempozard. That deck's really relied on Jirachi. A ton of other decks are just using Scoop Up Net right now with Jirachi. So I feel like the energy is the thing that actually is the glue for that deck, and it allows you to play 2 great type coverages in the game. So I do agree that, you know, this has had finally the biggest impact that Pikarom has actually started to see a lot less play. It's the Colossal that we thought we were going to get, you know, a few months ago. And Eternatus probably will survive. It'll be adapting. It is currently. But yeah, it's created a really fun weakness sort of triangle, and even Rapid Strike can play its own Dragapult as well and play within that itself. So I definitely think the Rapid Strike Energy is the correct answer to this question.
Good choice. Good choice, Kevin.
So I was actually kind of expecting Dan to say this one because I know that he is also a big fan of Spiritomb like I am. Easily, the biggest impact on the meta has been Escape Rope. I think Escape Rope is absolutely going to break the way that we play the game, and a lot of people are already finding it out. So Escape Rope and ADP is ridiculous. If you haven't played that, you just have to. It's just so many times you're like, well, now you have to have 2 things that don't get OHKO'd by my Zacian. You know, it's allowed Spiritomb to randomly do well. 4 Escape Ropes in there, and suddenly you get to Stellar Wish multiple times. You're Spike Mything constantly. You're able to say, I don't want that ADP anymore. You're able to drop the escape rope. Victini says, you have to Dedenne because I'm going to escape rope into my VMAX and I'm going to KO the Vs on your bench. Like, you have to bench these extra Pokemon that you don't want to bench because you have to play around escape rope. And we're seeing people get punished too consistently for not playing around escape rope. And you're just like, cool, this is now a boss's orders. GG's, you just lost on turn 1. So I think escape rope has the biggest impact on the meta so far.
Yep, I would agree with that. Colton?
Yeah, that's a valid point. I mean, I think I love the way that Dan phrased his answer the best because I would even venture to say both Urshis. If we wanted a Colossal and we didn't get it before, I would say either one of the Urshis would fill that void that we were looking for. Single Strike can do it. Maybe not as well as Rapid Strike, but it can. But either way, my answer would be both of the Urshis, and Dan phrased it perfectly. I mean, you saw so many changes. You saw so many techs that had to get added to decks. You see Mew everywhere now. It's like things are just so much different, and people are trying new things to try to combat what's in the meta now. So I would have to say the most impactful card, if I had to pick one, it would be Rapid Strike. But I do have faith in Single Strike, so I would even put my bet on that one as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. Both Urshifus have had a big impact so far on the meta, just changing the way lists are built, especially Eternatus. Going into that, so what about Octillery? You guys, what's your thoughts on the Octillery? Well, let's start with Dan.
I think the Octillery will be stronger if the game slows down a little bit post-rotation. I think right now, I think the format's too fast for Octillery, but maybe after rotation, after ADP rotates and things slow down a bit, then you're getting a little bit more mileage out of that Octillery in those decks.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like Octillery, but the matchup spread right now is just too polarizing. You just take too many L's for only attacking with Rapid Strike and only Empoleon. You just don't have enough coverage, and you don't have enough answers to annoying decks like Decidueye, which are popping up loads. Obviously, Zamazenta, Empoleon's not good enough into that, really. So you need to have other Pokemon, and that just eats into the space of just having, pure Rapid Strike. I'm seeing more and more often that it's going to be like a little Rapid Strike package of like a 3-2 Rapid Strike and like 1 to 2 Empoleon maximum, and then you have your other stuff that's in there to help those other matchups. So I feel like that's the way the meta's forming right now. So there's no real room for the Octillery to shine. It's clearly a strong card, but it's not having the instant impact that maybe some people expected.
Yep. Kevin?
Everything's been pretty correct. Once a card pool gets bigger for Rapid Strike, it's going to get stronger. So that's going to make a big difference. And in addition to that, look, if you're evolving, you're probably losing the game. Like, you can evolve your main attacker and that's it. So you just can't afford these stage ones, no matter how strong they can be.
Yeah, I hear that. Colton?
Yeah, I'll valid points. I mean, I would venture to say that as the meta adjusts, because we are in the beginning stages of battle styles, I think Octillery will find its place because, as I believe Joe had pointed out, Eternatus is just throwing in these weakness guard energies because that's their only choice. Like, if they want to survive in the meta, you're going to have that. Octillery is the one that's going to get you the fan to get you that weakness guard off and get you the kills that you need. So if everybody can make room for, your Aurora Energy box, all these tech cards in there, and they can tech Muse, then I think you can make room in the Rapid Strike build for, a 2-1 line of Octillery, 2-2, just to be safe. It's not a necessity, but it's going to get you the cards you need when you need them very easily. So I think as we adjust to the Urshifus, we might need to see Octillery back in decks just to get you the consistency that you need.
And then, Kevin, you mentioned that you don't think, stage 1 supporters, support Pokemon are kind of the answer right now. Nobody's brought up Cricketune. He is a basic. Do you think there's a spot in the meta for him currently? Let's start with Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it do well so far, only in a couple of fringe things. I think Inteleon has been playing it like /Lapras, just for some nice stamp proofing. It's a nice pivot, obviously Air Balloon /U-turn board, a great synergy for it. It allows you to have some Rose potential as well, which is funny against hammers. So Dragapult can take advantage, Inteleon can take advantage again, which is kind of cool to give you that sort of get out of jail free option so you don't just lose to too many head splits. So it is a nice enabler for that. I haven't really seen much else with it. It seems to just go in after the Eldegoss, after the Dedennes, after the Crobats, and the format is in a place that still punishes that heavily. ADP is doing insane right now and still loves seeing those kind of targets in play. Even Oricorio as well, you can throw that into the mix as being just behind those cards. So at the moment, it's like in addition to all the other stuff, and you're already like accepting that you're losing to boss a lot of the time. So it does mean you have to warp your deck a little bit differently, where you probably need to play stamps and get them out of those bosses that they've accumulated. But yeah, it gets you cards throughout the game, and that's never a bad thing.
For sure. Kevin, you have anything to add?
The current meta, no. In the next couple weeks, probably, yes. Cricketune will start to see an impact. Currently, people aren't playing Stamp. I don't know why. But once we start to see, because there are certain deck builders who are very good, who really like to run 2 Stamps in every single deck. Once they start to leak their lists out there, people are going to say, oh yeah, comeback mechanics are good. And then you're going to have to counter that with a Cricketune. So I have a strong feeling that it's going to start to see a lot of play coming up here shortly.
Dan?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I don't think we realize how good Cricketune and Eldegoss are, just because I think we're really spoiled with Kadene and Crobat and Oricorio right now. And so I think after rotation, Cricketune will be very, very common. I think we're just really spoiled with so many options right now.
Yeah, and Colton, you have anything to add on to that point?
There's been times that I'm building a deck and I look at Crobat and I'm like, oh, I could get these maybe 4 cards if I have 2 in hand right now, and I do that one time and then I have this liability on my field. But I look at Cricketune, I was like, well, I could get these 3, maybe 4 if I somehow get any active, and have this maybe as a solution to a problem next turn or something like that. And there's been multiple times that I just think Cricketune would solve that problem of getting stuck after dead drawing after a Crobat or something like that. If you can empty your hand and get cards again, that's awesome. Joe made a good point. I know Nick loves Rose. That's such a cool like way to think about that. Like, it's just like you don't have to have Rose Tower anymore. You can just have Cricketune, and that's really cool. So, and then also I think Dan actually said too, as soon as ADP leaves, Cricketune may see a spot, because that's everything with 180, 160. That's like the fear factor. You have a liability on the field, so give it till rotation, and then maybe you'll see Cricketune more.
Okay, and then the last thing, I think Exp Share with all these 2 energy cost Pokemon. Have you guys seen that as an impact in the meta so far? When the active gets knocked out, Exp Share can kind of just get whatever Pokemon it is up and running to do their max attack. Let's start with Kevin.
15 seconds.
Oh,
We've not seen it yet, but I do believe that it is currently underexplored and will be a good card.
Joe?
Is that 15 seconds?
Yeah, no tool removal right now. You get a lot of value from it. It protects you from Crushing Hammer. Really important.
Colton, no. Colton gets 10 seconds.
Colton, give
I
us.
thought about an Eternatus. I don't think there's room for it in the build, but I think that's the best deck that it would be useful for.
Oh, that's an answer, because I was honestly, that's where I thought it would fit best in.
Yeah.
And there's not enough time. Round is over. We will be discussing that in the future, probably with you actually on the episode, Colton. But yeah, wow, woo, that was intense. Jake, run down. What did you think of those responses?
I agree with pretty much everything everybody said. Like, all these cards have shaken up the meta tremendously. I mean, there's still those ADPs out there, but you're seeing a lot less Pikarom, a lot less ADP, and other decks are getting the percentage of that missing portion. So there's a lot more decks to play against, and the more variety there is in the game, the funner it is, I guess. So,
you know what I was surprised that we didn't hear is actually, we brought it up more when we were talking metal, but Victini VMAX, like, no one brought it up at all. I was expecting to see someone be like, yeah, this is the metal that doesn't need welder. And weirdly enough, and so no, but other than that, yeah, a lot of good responses. This was actually an interesting matchup overall. There is a clear winner this time, and he just made some really good points that I could not I was just hitting the button. I'm like, yeah, yes. And that would be Joe. You won with first place at 25 points. Congratulations. And I'm going to give you a 1-minute rant to talk about whatever you want starting now.
About the format, I feel like
anything.
I think Pikarom can come back. That's my biggest hot take. And I also think there's definitely exploration to do with this Zacian Rapid Strike. That's the thing that I've put the most work into at the start of this format. Still am in the ironing stage, but there's so much potential behind it. It will become a deck. It's not being played at all in online tournaments, and I think that's a huge misstep. It takes work, but it will be a really solid deck in the game that has answers to a lot of things, because you get to play Aegislash, you get to play Empoleon. get to have Zacian and Snipe Pressure. There's like everything all in one deck. It's just making the right spaces to actually make it work. But you get to play the most cracked cards, so that's really good.
Nice. 20 seconds.
I have more time?
Yeah, you got more time. Plug away.
Don't play Decidueye. It's boring. You're boring and hoping people don't tech. It's really, really annoying. And you shouldn't be playing it anyway because you're trying to dodge Victini, and that shouldn't be happening right now. It's the second most played deck, so don't try it.
All right, that's it. All right, everyone. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Again, I love this show. I love having everyone on talking about this. But thank you again for everyone for watching us today, and thank you to today's contestants: Dan, Count the Money himself; Colton, our league current champ; and then John Blake, Mellow Magikarp himself, Kevin; and today's winner, Joe. If you enjoyed this, we'll be back in 2 weeks here on YouTube with with different players, more burning questions, and another time to go around the board. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and take a look at another one of our videos here. Also, if you haven't done so yet, hit subscribe. It goes a long way in helping us grow. Remember, we release a podcast episode once a week on all the major platforms. We also stream every Friday on Twitch and make a Whimsy Watch monthly report.